What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Cinema Essentials. This episode is called The Key because no matter how many plans they pull off, the most important and final piece is the key to get into the infirmary. That's why they gave it this name. If you're ready, let's start with Season 1, Episode 19. I'm your host Theo, by the way. Lincoln regains consciousness after the car crash and finds himself on the side of the road, his whole body covered with injuries and wounds. A car arrives and someone gets out. Lincoln tries to look, but his vision is blurry and he can't see clearly. The person who got out of the car is none other than Secret Service agent Paul Kellerman. When he reaches Lincoln, he uses a cloth to cover Lincoln's mouth and nose, trying to kill him once and for all. Just then, another car arrives and someone asks if everything's okay. Paul Kellerman gets up and draws his gun from his waist, but the newcomer sprays him with a fire extinguisher he was holding, and Kellerman goes down. Before anyone else arrives, the old man pulls Lincoln along, gets him into the car, and drives away. When Sucre gets out of solitary confinement, everyone welcomes him with joy, hugging and greeting each other. Teabag, who's been watching, says forget about exchanging books and memories, but now let's talk about the current situation. Everyone says they got everything they need. They've memorized all the pipe routes in the psych ward, and they can go to the infirmary anytime. With the new route, once you exit the pipe, you walk about 30 feet, and you'll reach the infirmary. If they get the key to enter that room, everything will be complete. C-Note says it's just like before, they need to make a copy of the key, right? But it's not that simple. Only medical staff have access to that key. While they're discussing arrangements, D.B. Cooper starts chanting, "May the Ganges, the sands, the Buddha's mercy, all the gods save us." Well, if you're going to chant, you might as well have something to chant about. The yellow-shirted prisoner, who just got out of the transport van, is none other than Mafia boss John Abruzzi. The guy who nearly died from shock seeing Abruzzi is called Taddy, apparently. In the dining hall, Abruzzi is praying when Scofield greets him with, "Hey, how are you doing?" Abruzzi replies, "Good, thanks to God's grace," and invites him to sit. "I thought you guys had forgotten about me, but you're still here," he says. Scofield asks if the situation has changed, if he has any new plans. "Don't worry about the plane situation like before, it'll be ready on the day we break out," Abruzzi replies. Teabag sits there watching Scofield and Abruzzi talk, filled with about 10,000 different worries. Bellick informs the warden that Lincoln's transport was attacked, 2 guards died, and 1 is in critical condition. The warden wants to do everything by the book as usual, but Bellick says if they follow the book this time, everyone's jobs will be lost. "Don't report it yet, let me and others go look for him," Bellick says. After printing out the call records from Quinn's phone, there are tons of files. Nick Saverin says that if these phone numbers turn out to be unrelated to Stedman and Lincoln, they'll have wasted time, and by then it might even be time for Lincoln's execution. Veronica looks reluctant and unwilling to continue. She tells him not to talk too much, just go through these call records and note anything unusual, and throws him a thick stack of papers. Scofield quietly picks the lock to the infirmary door and waits by the door for Sara. When Sara opens the door and sees the lock is broken, she opens it with her key, and Scofield subtly watches. Local police, rescue teams, and Bellick's team all arrive at the incident scene. Bellick's police chief friend explains the situation and promises to help recapture the escaped Lincoln. Bellick asks Paul Kellerman the 6 W's: who, what, when, where, why, how, but the arrogant Secret Service agent gives evasive answers and heads to his car. In the infirmary, while Sara is treating Scofield's wound behind a screen, he suddenly kisses the young doctor without warning. How can a grown woman escape from that situation? She's thinking to herself. The channel has been dug for so long, and the water is just now starting to flow. When she asks what he wants from her, Scofield says, "Wait for me." But Sara replies, "I don't think we have a future together." When Sara says she has to go and leaves, the guy left alone in the infirmary is going crazy with lovesickness. When Tweener returns to his cell and says, "I think we have something to discuss. I've made contact with people on the outside. I'll pay you $100 a month." But the Avocado, who only wants to feed him bananas, pulls Tweener down. Scofield approaches Tweener, who's sitting against the wall crying because his cellmate beat him up. and asks him to steal another item like he did with the watch. If you want me to do something for you, you help me with something in return. See that son of a fool lying over there? Kill him for me, Tweener says. That's not something I can do, Scofield replies. A friend's father near my house collected baseball cards. I thought if I stole a few, I could get some spending money. One of the cards, there was a 1910 Honus Wagner player card. It meant nothing to me. The only sport I was good at in the neighborhood was slip and slide with shoes. That card was worth about $300,000. So they arrested me for grand theft. Now I'm in prison eating bananas every day over a baseball card, feeling like a punk, he says. Scofield feels bad but can't do anything about it. A car drives into an old junkyard warehouse. When Lincoln regains consciousness and looks around, he realizes that the old man who saved him is his father, who had been missing for many years. It was also Lincoln's father, Aldo Burroughs, who provided the medical records to the judge. Aldo says, I knew they'd come after you as soon as you got out, so I followed you. They're not after you. They want me to come out of hiding. It's an organization with people from many countries, known as the Company. I used to work there. This organization controls everything in this country, which laws to pass, which judges to appoint, which countries to go to war with. To know this level of information, I had to abandon my family and go through it alone. And that's how I learned all this intelligence, he explains. When Lincoln asks why you never contacted us, Aldo says, I had no choice. I regret it every day. When I left the company, I took all the information with me. That's why they're doing this to you. They know that if they hurt you, I will come out. In the yard, while Scofield is walking and waiting for Sara's path, looking forward to seeing his beloved. He's staring at his sweetheart walking with an umbrella and a folder. Sucre arrives and asks if Scofield is playing with that woman or serious about her. Scofield says he doesn't know anymore. While shaving in his cell, Teabag sees Abruzzi in the mirror. Abruzzi says, with God's salvation and protection, I can forgive and tolerate everything. Take my hand. Let's leave everything that happened in the past. Teabag also fearfully shakes hands, and Abruzzi says isn't a warm hand better than a cold one? And the two of them settle their feud. Whether it's really settled or not, we'll have to wait and see. It's not believable. The warden tells Bellick it's been 2.5 hours. The police chief still hasn't found them, and he's giving him 2 more hours. If you don't find them, I'll have to hold a press conference. If people find out a murderer escaped from prison, we'll have a lot of problems. Tweener meets Bellick and tells him about the Avocado situation, asking for a room change. But since Scofield's team won't provide information, Bellick does nothing and leaves. Avocado gets up from his bunk and says it's time for banana eating. When Tweener says he'll eat on the top bunk today, Avocado stands up straight and starts making the bed carefully, then pulls out a razor blade hidden between the mattresses and cuts the banana from the stem. As Sara is about to get in her car to go home, Nika approaches and asks if she knows Michael Scofield, saying he's planning something dangerous to get out, and they need to talk. In the coffee shop, Nika explains in detail how Michael has helped her in various ways, and also clarifies that she and Michael aren't really married. As they're talking and she's about to leave, her bag falls, and Sara helps her pick it up. Aldo explains that among the many ways to solve the Ecofield problem, they chose the method of faking Terence Stedman's death. You were involved too, so in one swift move, Terence is free, and I had to come out of hiding. If we can stop their wars, many people will live, but we'll lose one son. Even though I thought this way and did it in the end, what father can sit and watch his son face death? He says. When Lincoln says that because of his father's actions, LJ's mother is dead, he's about to face execution, and Michael is in prison, Aldo replies, I knows everything. That's why I came out in time to prepare. Although Abruzzi forgave him, Teabag is still scared and plans to kill him with a small knife. C-Note stops him, saying that guy will arrange transportation when he gets out. If you kill him now, I won't see my family anymore. I can't accept that. Give me the knife, he demands, and Teabag reluctantly hands it over. When Sara returns to the infirmary and can't find her key in her bag, she asks a nearby staff member to help her open the door. In the visiting room, when Nika shows up for visiting hours, Scofield is amazed. For the favor Scofield asked, Nika gives him the stolen key from Sara's infirmary saying, "We're even now. Neither of us owes the other anything. I won't come to see you again," and leaves. The police chief calls Bellick, saying they found Lincoln and the others at the junkyard ruins. "All right then, you go ahead. I'll follow immediately," Bellick says. Paul Kellerman is listening to their conversation through a walkie-talkie. Just as Lincoln and Aldo are preparing to escape, police and Paul Kellerman arrive. They leave the car and try to hide among the wrecked cars, heading toward the riverside. As Lincoln continues forward, his father calls for him to run, but Paul Kellerman spots them and aims his gun. When Lincoln sees guards passing by outside the compound, he calls to Bellick saying, "Don't shoot." Bellick and others arrive, so Paul Kellerman loses his chance to kill Lincoln and quietly retreats. Bellick and the police arrest Lincoln with handcuffs. While melting a toothbrush with fire in his cell to duplicate the key Nika gave him, Sucre arrives asking if Scofield heard about Avocado. The guy ran out of bananas. Tweener cut him with a razor, but he told the guards it was an accident with the bed sheet. When Scofield asks why he lied, Sucre says if Tweener goes to solitary, they can't take him along. When Avocado get back from the infirmary, Tweener will be dead, he adds. In the office, Sara and Katie are desperately searching for the key. While searching, Sara pulls out a small bag and remembers meeting Nika in the morning, dropping her bag, and Nika picking it up and then quickly leaving. She immediately goes to search the visitor log records and finds that Nika and Michael Scofield had a visit. Abruzzi calls to Scofield as he's walking and asks where Fibonacci is, saying he needs to meet Fibonacci to forgive everything. Scofield says the story is nice, but as he said before, he can only meet him when they get outside. Abruzzi calls Nick Savarin and asks about Veronica's situation, then tells him that next time I calls, you should bring Veronica to wait at the airport as previously discussed. From the beginning of the story, Abruzzi had instructed Nick Savarin to keep watch on Veronica. Scofield approaches Tweener, who's standing on a bench, and asks why he's not going to solitary. Tweener says if he goes to solitary, he'd have to tell about cutting Avocado's banana with a razor. "Either way, I'm a dead man," he says. Scofield asks thoughtfully how much he can trust him. In the infirmary, Sara greets Scofield as he arrives for his shot and asks about the situation. Katie enters and says someone's outside to change the lock, asking if they should change it. Looking directly at Michael, she says they'll change it. When Michael just stares at Sara without saying anything, she asks if something's wrong. As Scofield leaves the infirmary, he sees them changing the lock and doesn't know what to do. When Lincoln returns to Fox River, the waiting warden says since he was recaptured 8 miles from the incident site, he assumes it was an escape attempt. When he asks who helped him, and Lincoln doesn't answer, he orders 24-hour guard surveillance. Bellick comes out holding a coffee cup, looking pleased, and Tweener tells him he has new information from Scofield. "Because of this, you'll protect me from Avocado's revenge problem and give me reduced time. Scofield and all the PI guys are about to break out," he says. As soon as Tweener gives this information, he immediately goes to the guard station to find where the hole is. Using a hammer to tap the floor, he finds the spot, making a hollow sound, breaks through it, and discovers the hole Scofield's team had dug. Right here is where part 19 ends. Since we present this series daily, 1 part each day, please like and subscribe to the Cinema Essentials channel. To all our supporting audience, may you be blessed with mental health and physical prosperity. Thank you everyone for watching till the end.